The final game for Week 3, the first round of intra-conference play, is coming to a close in just a few short minutes. In about an hour or so, we will know who is victorious. Is it EDG or is it WE? The two teams that went to Worlds for the LPL just a few months previously. Once again, my name is Dom. We've got Clement. We've got Frost. Let's get right into it because this is the final match. And I still want to get your predictions at the end of this analysis. What are we looking for to close this series out?
I mean, the reality is right now that Team WE have had questionable drafts in game number 1, game number 2, and it was simply a miracle that they even made it to game number 3. Again, huge credit. We know that WE are good at theoretically losing games or absorbing losses. They're great 5v5s, but they shouldn't even be in this situation, and they need to clean up the draft if they want to take the series.
A miracle is a very strong phrase, Clement.
And to talk more about that draft, I think we need to get Condi rolling early. We need one lane that is absolutely guaranteed to win for WE. You know, in bad picks, we talk about it's actually a goal in and of itself to have 3 winning lanes. That's kind of an iron law in League of Legends, and you can't just go against that time and time again.
Well, now we know that Team WE, they have selected blue side going into this final match. They've prioritized Azir in both Game 1 and Game 2. Clement, could they be listening?
I hope so, because she has had some great performances on champions other than Azir. Before Condi came back, he was carrying the team. He's really good on Chase. He's really good on Zoe, so he can pick up that early tempo for his team.
Yeah, I actually don't want Team WE to fall into the trap of the Azir. I feel like a lot of teams will, and we probably will see it as the priority, but I would actually prefer for them to give Mystic some priority here, because he's the guy that's being singled out with his champion pool, and bottom lane is the giant sore that EDG are just ripping open.
And you can hear the fans cheering on both teams, even after the headsets are on. This is a huge match for the LPL.
I mean, we know and talk about how this is a grudge match, how this is for the throne, and that both teams are really going at it, but I don't know who's actually more vicious, the teams or the fans. Even after the initial cheers, they start going back up and
keep
forth.
Going. Yeah, to see which of the two teams has a little bit more volume. So now, it's time. The question you've all been waiting for. EDG or WE? Frost, I'll set you up first.
I think it's pretty clear what I'm going to pick. It is EDG. I just feel that right now they have a bit more versatility in terms of their compositions and how they're executing on the map. I thought they identified what their problems were in game number 1, which they had control of for 99% of the game, then quickly adjusted for game number 2, and so for game number 3, they've already got the blueprint. I think they clean up the series.
I have to follow suit. I'm going to go with EDG as well. I don't think W has looked so good in their early game, and their individual laning power has been a huge letdown. Even though the drafts were bad, there was no way they should have lost mid tower by 11 minutes and lost that bot tower at 13.
Well, we'll have to see if EDG are going to believe or if it's going to be WE. Casters, take us into game.
Thank you so much, Dom, and the rest of the gang over at the analyst desk. And it all comes down to this, the final game in this matchup between EDG and WE. Lots of focus on EDG, though. I feel like that they're going to take this series, but I actually just can't call it anymore. Like, after that second game, I mean, yes, EDG looked good, and the adaptations we saw from them, but WE, we saw exactly what they're made of, what they can pull off in game 1.
Yeah, but they pretty much lost. It's one of those moments where it's like, if you get railed that hard in 2 early games, and EDG was able to adapt much like that, adding much more range in game 2. I want to see if WE can adapt in game 3. The analyst desk said it. It was about the laning phases, prioritizing proper lanes. And remember, Mystic picking up the Varus in the last game. That was his 5th Varus game in his career. In his career. He's played Vayne more often than he has played Varus. Like 15 more games. Like the fact that he hasn't been able to play that in Varus is a, I would say, primary counter to the Caitlyn pick, of course, in the lane, because you have the extra range of basically hell of arrows and Q. He was getting out-traded. That's what it came down to. Not only was he getting out-traded because Ben blew Flash, but he was getting out-traded because he was getting out-traded by Mako. So, like, that comes down to, now that they have blue side, pick up the Caitlyn early on, or pick up something that gets you, I would say, that comfort in the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, definitely we can make a more educated decision after we get through Champion Select, because there was a lot of focus on Champion Select from the analyst desk. So let's take a look at some of these bans. It was Camille, Zoe, and Rai. So thank God we took Zoe off the board. On the opposite side, it is Galio, Azir, and Sejuani from EDG. First pick of Jarvan for Condi.
All right, so much focus coming into the mid lane position. Honestly, everything comes down to the fact that I do not want to see either teams take mid lane to the second phase. I think Shea has a bit of an edge because he's willing to go towards Vladimir, and he's willing to go towards the Kassadin that we saw getting banned out in Game 1. I don't know about Scout, though.
Yeah, not so sure about Scout. Kalista has been picked up, though, by EDG for iBoy in the bottom lane, so actually going back towards what they picked up in that Game 1, despite Caitlyn being open, and also not into the top lane. So this is very much a different priority of draft from EDG.
Yeah, it's definitely different. The fact that now you have the Gnar in the side lane, kind of goading WE to pick up the Ornn. Wonder if they do. But yeah, I doubt that the Gnar build will remain the same, because now we're going back into the same range that we saw in Game 1. He's going to have to be a team fighting force rather than a split pushing giant here.
Condi's going to be picking up Mystics, Xayah very early on to the draft as well. There's such a different priority from both teams, in fact. Vladimir is going to be the lock-in for WE here. Can go to 957 or Xie in the mid lane.
Oh, okay, so he picks up the Xayah really early on. Now it kind of means that the support pool is a little bit larger, a little bit wider, that Ben can actually go towards the Rakan unless EDG bans it. So now it's on EDG's mind if they actually want to ban a Rakan.
Wow, really? EDG pick up Malzahar in this first rotation here, as one of the last remaining big four mid laners, honestly. Zoe, Ryze, and Azir banned out, so he will pick up the Malzahar.
It's much easier to start a fight with Malzahar. And honestly, they're a little bit suspicious about the Vladimir early pick. Sure, 957 is willing to play it in solo queue. And I wonder if he's willing to play it on the big stage, go for that carry pick here, especially in Game 3 up against EDG.
Assumption here by EDG that Vladimir will be going top lane. The Corki ban comes out towards Xie. And it will be a Kha'Zix ban at Haro. Final ban is Rakan towards Ben.
All right, so now Ben has to look elsewhere in terms of the support pick. He might have to hold it. Doubt that EDG would pick their support last pick, since they can very easily just kind of... Actually, it looks like their jungle pick very well could just be... Since the Jarvan got banned, they might go towards the Kha'Zix instead.
Kha'Zix has been banned, unfortunately, so maybe it could be a Lee Sin coming out from Haro.
It's interesting, because going into the second phase really is a question about what you're willing to pick up for your support. Not a lot of teams are willing to use their support for the last pick.
Okay. It will be the Jax coming out from EDG, actually going towards Haro this time, so taking away Condi's Jax, but he's already got the Jarvan.
It's a bit of a trading pick, so
Yeah.
now we can get to see a little bit more action here in the mid lane between both, of course, Counter-Strike of the Jax and, of course, the ulti here from Malzahar. He's going to be forcing a few members, especially Vladimir, just to pick up a QSS.
I know it's not that, but it feels like a death sentence to pick Jax nowadays, because he's won 1 out of his six total games in the LPL so far. Just never seems to work out. The WE are going to pick up Gangplank into the top lane here, so we know that Vladimir will be going to the mid lane for Xie.
One of those times where, of course, the win rate can kind of trick you into thinking poorly of the matchup. I think that Jax is pretty decent clear, is great kind of fights that you can look for. A good gank pressure that doesn't cost too much mana. So I actually appreciate the Jax in the current meta, even if it's not being used to such success.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a coincidence more than the fact the matchup is wrong. I do agree with you there. Otherwise, there's no reason for them to pick it. Braum has been picked up by WE, though, as their final one into the bottom lane there for Xayah. And we're looking towards EDG now for their final lock-in of the series.
All right, while we're waiting for it, I want to look at WE just a little bit, just because, of course, we've been kind of hinting that Xie would pick up the Vladimir. A lot of people question why that would be the case, since we've seen so much more Vladimir top lane than in the mid lane. But Xie has been a Vladimir player. There are a few people in the LPL, like Athena, that would go towards it. Sure, you get pushed in quite frequently, but if the team is willing to play towards the bottom side of the map, kind of more of a reactive gameplay, you know, WE and reactive gameplay apparently goes hand in hand, that you can be a mid-game to late-game teamfight force.
And when I look at WE right now, they really do have a lot of late-game scaling when you look at them. On the opposite side, though, EDG, they have Haro on Jax to see if he can get in there early up against that Jarvan. And also Malzahar, great at starting fights, great at looking for these picks as well. A lot of the Malzahars we're seeing nowadays will go towards sorcery and pick up the ultimate hat and just go full cooldown reduction and have ultimate on like a 40-second cooldown. So we're seeing that a bunch, something that we have to respect for sure. But if we're going late, then almost everyone is just going to pick up a QSS.
Oh, yeah. We haven't seen too much Malzahar when it comes to the top-tier play between both, like, in the LPL. Seen a lot, or a few of it, of course, coming out of Vici. It's kind of weird when you see Vladimir, or at least the Malzahar, not being used to good success around ultimate. But when you're in a top team and every Malzahar cooldown, every ulti comes through feels incredibly impactful. So QSS is definitely necessary coming in for Vladimir. I mean, it's very natural coming in from Xayah. You have to itemize, of course, going towards Mercurial Scimitar really early on. You might not be seeing too much crit very early for the Xayah. So that's necessary once you're going up against it.
It almost implies a faster game as well from EDG, because it's like we're going to use the advantage we have because you have to pick up QSS, because if we go late, then you have QSS and Malzahar just ult someone and the QSS out of it. But in the mid game, they have less gold than you. You can go for those fights. You can get picks on people who haven't picked up the QSS yet. You can even move your pressure towards top side. Just blog a tank, and he's going to go down. As soon as you nethergrass him, he's probably going to die. And because there's a gangplank in the top lane, there isn't even a tank. So WE, there is a chance for them to crumble in the mid game and the early game. And so far in this series, EDG have looked towards that aggression.
Yep. Honestly, this would be the third game in a row for EDG to find themselves with this kind of early game focus.
The crowd is actually getting louder as this series has gone on.
More on the line.
Yeah, I actually feel like we need to step up a game. Those people can use their diaphragms. They're actually still going. They're going to continue fighting. We're about a minute into this one. We're just drawing lines of scrimmage across map. There's going to be 0 invade. No information pushed into the enemy jungle here from either team. They are just going to walk right to lane. It does look like Condi's going to be starting top side of the map, and Haro, he's going to do the same on his red buff.
It's reasonable fear to be going up against the Braum. So fanning out means a lot, because there have been a lot of teams that get kind of picked out by Braum invade. You don't want to start out game 3 that far behind level 1. So both teams are just going to be playing it close to the chest.
Just looking at those keystones, nothing really out of the ordinary for either team. Though Iway has once again gone towards the Unsealed Spellbook. Mako going not towards the Unsealed Spellbook, has in fact gone for Guardian here in the Resolve first tree. I'm going to be pushing up in the bottom side. Haro is starting on his red buff. And in fact, Condi did make the long trek into the bottom side of his map and will also start on his red buff, getting a nice little pull there from Mystic and Ben. So junglers will find each other on opposite sides of the map in their first clear.
And honestly, for both junglers, you should expect, let's say, a slower pace of game. I would look towards maybe WE, kind of wanting to get himself towards the bottom side of the map on his second clear, just so they can utilize the skirmishing potential, of course, from the Braum. But other than that, looking top side is kind of difficult, unless if you're EDG and you can get mid lane priority. But all of it is waiting for that level 6 portion of it, your EDG, to find that time.
Well, I actually cannot believe Malefic Visions decides to latch onto Shia there of all the minions they could have moved to. But yep, Scout is just going to be pushed into his tower in the early levels here against Vladimir. I'm going to be seeing pretty much a full clear actually from Haro. So as you said, it's going to be slightly quieter in the early game from the two junglers. And we'll just be down to how these matchups go. Nah, typically pretty good into Gangplank in the early levels. Will be a ranged matchup. But Nas, or rather Gangplank is going to be pretty fine just farming this one out. Just seems to have to push here as well. Yeah,
there's a lot of matchups that GP's just fine going up against. Gather up the gold for himself in these lanes. At the same time, even though if it is a ranged matchup, it's still not enough range to be able to deal with the second barrel. If the first one is set up by GP, you're going to get hit by it, so you have to be cognizant of it and move it out of the way.
Yeah, really the only time that Gangplank will suffer in the top lane is while junglers start to get involved, and some picks in the top lane. Much better at assisting the jungle ganks than others. Nah just kind of has his own pressure.
And here's the benefit, of course, of trading sides here. Kind of looking at Haro and Condi starting opposite sides and ending on the opposite side. Means that, sure, nothing really happens in terms of the jungle matchup. They're not going to be able to skirmish up in each other's faces, but that means that 957 feels incredibly comfortable in the matchup, and Ray has to play close to his own tower. And at the same time, right now, iBoy and Mako can do just the same, knowing that Haro is right behind them.
Yeah, pushing up. There will be the Crow Camp going over to Jarvan in the top side of the map, whereas Haro goes for his first back of the game, picks up the Stalker's Blade, and 2 control wards, in fact, not just 1.
Condi wins out in that entirety, just because of the fact that he's gotten the enemy Krugs. Now, if Haro tried that, going behind the enemy duo lane for that, he probably would have gotten pushed off. And that's the sadness of course, starting top side and ending bot. Because if you're trading sides, that there's not really an opportunity for you to be able to take the enemy Krugs, because there's 2 people in that lane, and one can actually kind of just shoo you off.
There's actually nothing for Haro to do right now other than look for ganks. Top lane's not going to happen. He just had a sniff up there. Mid lane also not going to happen. It's Xie on Vladimir. So he's pretty much just wandering around the map right now trying to gather information, see if he can find Condi at the very least.
Yeah, found enough information to realize that Xie and Condi were leaning top side. So it was good enough to kind of give Ray that kind of space to push up.
Yeah, Mako just taking a bit of damage down into the bottom lane, but pretty much equal CS down there. It's actually the mid lane that's starting to go the way of Xie in terms of farm. This will be another extra couple creeps, and it should be over a wave in terms of advantage. Going to be about a wave and a half over Scout just in that 1 versus 1 matchup.
Yeah, Scout had initially just a tough time in the matchup going up and getting pushed into lane by Vladimir. But now should be able to kind of equalize here. Sure, Xie is going to be able to walk up to him every single time he has Crimson Rush, but of course it's fairly safe for Scout to be able to just throw down his kind of Zoidlings? I don't know. What are they called again?
Voidlings?
Voidlings. Why do they call them
Zoidbugs?
Zoidbugs, yeah. Kind of whoop right in there. Just to be able to push up the lane. It's going to be a little bit harder for Xie, of course, to kind of keep up in HP once he starts, or at least Scout gets blue buff, starts being able to use that just to trade in the matchup.
Haro pretty much just on janitor duty right now, just clearing away the blast cones, just allowing his lanes to be a little bit more safe. In terms of where the vision they have to place down, they don't necessarily have to place a ward up river. However, in the mid lane, level 6 has been activated by Scout. In comes the ultimate, and Haro's here for the gang. Xie very low, but a malefic vision's enough to finish him off in the sanguine pool. First blood to EDG.
There we go. The moment you hit 6, he just jumps right in there. And remember that he has the spell book too, so his flash has a really low cooldown. First use of it, and that's the kill onto Xie. Absolutely
perfect that from EDG, and I was just going to say, we're pretty much waiting for level 6 in all of these lanes, including top lane. Because Ray's now actually putting some pressure down onto a 9-5-7, and we'll push in this minion wave as well. So EDG leading this game.
Funny how that works. Hit level 6, the only lane that hasn't hit it. The least impactful lane right now. Both mid lane and top lane just kind of blow up. And now 9-5-7 gets pushed into the wall, of course, as a GP, and gets an entire wave pushed into him. So you can start to see that Ray, Scout, Haro trying to get as much done as possible the moment they hit 6.
I mean, definitely what we're expecting as well out from this EDG roster, not just in terms of playstyle, but also in terms of composition, because you look towards Mystic, Xie, and 957, and they're going to get real big at around the 30 to 40 minute mark.
Oh, it was just big right there. The fact that Mystic went to base when there was a massive wave hitting his turret, and he, of course, doesn't have Spellbook. So he's able to go back just for his BF sword. He loses a lot of chip on this turret, just a little bit actually, not too much. But remember that this kind of starts to pile back up. So you have to be cognizant of it, because iBoy is the one with Spellbook. iBoy is the one who has constant pressure in the lane whenever he feels like it, whenever he picks up TP. And you will be the one who's constantly playing that defense.
Yeah, regardless of how that mid lane went though, it's still Xie who's able to push up and now move into the enemy jungle alongside Condi. Red buff is up, however there is a contest coming out here from Haro.
He's a little bit suspicious, just because realizing that Gnar left the lane, doesn't know how much information is present for EDG.
Condi's still here, but he is taking the Raptors instead. So Haro, you can take the red buff, but I'm still going to take a camp away from you as tax.
So much experience for the Raptors, so you know what? It's a win. Oh, he's not going to be able to take the big one, actually. He's getting chewed off.
Well, it's a little bit awkward. Yeah, so Haro should be able to get the rest of his camp here, though it's still going to be contested out by Xie. Scout drops the ultimate. He has all the Voidlings as well. This actually might be the kill. Malefic Visions. He moves towards it, tries to get some help back by the ultimate. Will just be enough for Xie.
You know what? If Haro knew that was happening, he would have jumped in there as well. Thing is, the only thing that was saving Xie was his Crimson Rush to be able to heal him up, and of course Condi that was right behind him.
I was inches away from Xie dropping there.
And you know what? Scout didn't even have to use his flash. Obviously, it's not up yet. But that means so much. The fact that now he has control of the wave. Going to be able to get flash soon. If you're Haro, just wait on the next time the Scout has his ultimate. You can keep recycling that play.
And Scout's also cooldown base, so he's going to have his ultimate back up very, very quickly. Haro moving towards his jungle. He's now hit level 6. So yes, he's being invaded upon by Condi, but he can really just leverage these lanes that are already doing well for himself. This mid lane, able to get that all-in potential. Bot lane, we haven't seen too much from because it's pretty much just been farming. iBoy's managed to get himself a slight advantage. So we're talking about just have that unsealed spellbook. So pretty much all of that is because of the teleport.
Yeah, teleport. You have a Tark that's going to constantly heal you with tears. So the mana pool of Mako is getting enlarged right now. The fact that he's spamming that out. And it's keeping iBoy topped up in lane. So right now, for Mystic, it's turning into a war of attrition that he's just sticking up the lane and pushing it out because iBoy's just looking for the trade and he's going to be in lane for a long time.
And Mystic has to use the ultimate there because Mako had him trapped using the dazzle, so That's an ultimate down in the bottom lane. Potential opportunity now for Haro, who is in fact in the bottom side of the map here.
It always seems like Haro's always looming over this lane. The moment a kill pressure is just about to come through. Great timing and showcase the amount of communication happening here. There's not that much damage on the turret, but with now level 6 being pinged in through iBoy, it's good enough for them to look for a fight.
In fact, most of the vision out from EDG has been placed in the bottom side of the map.
There we go.
Teleport being used. EDG want to make a play onto this tower right here. Haro stepping up to the tower itself, and Scout wants this tower to drop. In fact, she is the one going back to base. He has his own teleport to try and defend. And Mako under attack, but Great Fate's Core in from iBoy. Will commit for the disengage. So lots of teleports being burnt, but the tower down to half.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, they expended that much to be able to take that down to half HP. They were thinking about a full dive, but you know how much time Mystic can buy on the Xayah, especially with his ultimate. Didn't have it then, but just enough to be able to throw out the feathers and defend herself. So there we go. Great pathing here for Condi too, recognizing that that was a threat. 957.
Ray, he's got kill pressure here. He's about to turn Mega and has the ultimate. 957 needs to be scared. Moves against the wall. Wallop comes in, and the last boulder, not quite enough damage to finish him up. But Ray, now he doesn't have tower aggro. He's looking for the chase. Does have the flash. 957 holds onto his own flash and his ultimate.
So close. Ray just needed to go in for 2 auto attacks, but as a melee Meganar, you don't want to walk up to that to go for those 2 autos, because you don't know how 957 will play it. Be able to walk around, ring around Rosie on the turret, so you'll essentially kill yourself doing that. So smart from Ray to just be able to back up after that.
Because he knows after the fact 957 will have to go back to base, he's able to get pressure on tower. And just in that 1 versus 1, that tower's almost dead. It's got about less than a third HP, probably about a quarter right now. So Ray, he can move back up there. And if he gets any help from Haro, probably has to knock that one down.
Yeah, he's doing quite well for himself, honestly. Even has a TP to his name. I wonder when he's going to actually TP back to base. I mean, head back to base and then TP back to his own turret. Might do it off this wave.
Probably going to be now, you'd have to assume. Yeah, he's only on the Ninja Tappies, so he should have at least enough for a Phage. Haro's going to find Condi in the jungle, but not quite in range for his counter-strike. He's got the help of Mako just clear out these wards, and Ben was also heading up, so it would have turned into a 2 versus 2 regardless. Mountain Dragon's going to be an objective that we have to look towards shortly. I'm looking towards top lane, in fact, because 957 is being chased down. Hyper procs coming in aplenty. Forces out the flash by 957.
No flash. At half HP, sure, you'll be able to heal yourself with oranges, but if he's healing with oranges, knowing that Ray's hit Meganar, definitely a major threat. So 957 is actually basing.
Has to go back, and if he pushes this way fast enough, Ray, he doesn't have the ultimate, otherwise he'd certainly use it here. Scout falling down onto Xie, but the instant turnaround of the Hemo Plague. Who else is around the area? Haro and Condi. He's managed to find Haro, flag drag, but the counter-strike will get the stun down. In comes the bottom lane, but the AD carries completely by himself right now, or should I say Mako gets pulled in by iBoy, but Haro has to flash away. Double flash coming in from WE. They want this man dead. Scout walks up. He doesn't have the ultimate. In fact, he does have the ultimate.
Scout.
Wolf focus down Condi. Flash over the wall, but it's 1 kill to WE.
No way Condi survives off that one, but really smart from WE. It starts with Xie actually defensively using his ultimate because he was afraid of Scout looking for an engage on top of him. But they find and tracked Haro. Haro didn't have much HP, didn't have much room to move. Sure, Mako got stunned up a bit, but he has iBoy to be able to pull him out whenever he wants to. So it was really Haro that was in imminent danger.
This is definitely a little bit awkward. Mako is being caught out on the bottom side. Pops the ultimate very, very late, but we'll be able to turn around this trade now. iBoy stunned in place, it looked like, by Ben. Managed to get a concussive blows out, and now Condi walking into the spot side of the map. He doesn't have the ultimate. He's just here to zone away EDG.
That was really close coming in from both of them, actually. Mako was about to die off that one, but then enough Ren stacks were on top of Mystic's head for a secured kill. If he, about 3 more autos came through from iBoy.
Now we cycle back on that play. Haro died, yes, but the top lane tower went down to Ray. So in terms of cross-map gold, EDG actually did pull ahead, and that's first tower gold over to the Gnar. So depending on what we're looking for right here, we might even see another split push Gnar, or whether he'll go tank, but he is going to be pretty far ahead the curve now.
Yeah, I know. I think that right now he might just go towards tank, but right now the second item that he would want to build up next would be the Frozen Mallet. How well he's doing too. Looking at where GP is, holding the wave as long as he can, kind of makes it, it's a better decision. But it does mean that they'll have to lose so much control near this river.
Haru is really trying to finish off this this Rift Herald, but he'll jump over the wall. Ray's the one zoning away now.
Oh, this is rough.
This is actually really awkward. 2 versus 2 it's turned into. Ray zoning off 957, but they're the ones who are actually together. In comes Ben and Xie. They're trying to finish this one off. It's going to be close. The smite goes down by Condi. WE are the ones that secure the Rift Herald. Scout comes in. Hara's already dead. But he does pop the ultimate. Scout bringing down the damage onto Condi, but Mako trying to move around the fight, but Ray is down, caught in the middle of the team. WE, one return kill, Bravado for the kill. Mako still not dead, someone finished him off. Okay, there we go. 957, 4 kills over to WE and the Herald.
What a misplay coming in from EDG. It started with Haro trying to solo out the Rift Herald, and he felt pretty awkward. He needed to get out of there. He didn't have much mana to his name, didn't have much HP because he was just soloing it out. And then Ray collapses, Scout collapses. They are in a position where they think they could take it, but the entirety of WE follows through. And a great collapse to kind of nail on the coffin.
Really unfortunate because in the end it looked like EDG just kind of went one by one like lemmings.
Yeah, it all really, if I'm looking at Ray, for me, biggest point of the fact is he's trying to get the Mega Gnar off. He's trying to sweep at least 3 members. He sees the ideal play, and it's very difficult for him to get it through. So just take a look at this, because Ray and Scout are going to be the sole damage dealers here. But he gets CC'd and bursted out. So Ray is no longer a part of the fight. Scout has no way to be able to deal any more damage without ulti. So EDG, because of that play, because of the misplay to follow that, lose so much.
Not only the fight, but also the Rift Heralds. And if we're looking towards EDG trying to snowball out this game, major blunder because it's going to A, slow them down, and B, give WE a bunch of time to start scaling. Like GP picked up 2 kills from that. He's got the Triforce well on his way towards Hysterics Gauge now. Mid lane, an item and a half, very close to his second item, and just that gold injection alone is so big for WE.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. 957's banking right now. The fact that he was able to get 2-0 and 2 kills to his name throughout the entire game, when he was kind of just struggling, on struggle street in the matchup.
All of that has just gone around because of that, and it was part of it was definitely because Haru wanted the Rift Herald, but it was also doubling down and trying to commit to that one. So that was a big problem in the end. We'll see what EDG can do to catch it back up now, because WE definitely the ball was in their court.
It's funny to see just CA constantly chunking out the matchup just through his ultimate. Initially it was defensively. He felt threatened by Haro coming through with Scout. The follow-up was definitely there, but now he's just doing it to chunk Scout out and send him out of the matchup.
Going towards this bot lane, Mystic and Ben thinking about going down here. Condi is also just in the wings, but he's actually decided to go back. His red buff is about to spawn. So we'll see what actually they're trying to pull off here. Minion waves coming in. Sentinel's actually just going to spot them out, so it doesn't actually matter in the end. They're just trying to pull off something sneaky.
Take a look at this. Right now, EDG is doing making the right decision. Looking at where Ray is currently, that it was their pressure point last time around, of course, knowing that Ray was doing quite well in the matchup. And now they're just consistently using that, not so much to chip down GP, because he's safe underneath that turret, but to at least get the wave in their favor. So now, WE still has to answer to 2 bouncing waves in 2 different lanes.
Haru's still pushing in, and you look at the ward line, that's pretty telling of how this game is going. Like, even though WE managed to pick up that last fight, the carries are getting pretty big. They haven't managed to do so just yet. That looked like the Herald going down. Yeah, in the mid lane, Connie has just activated the Herald, so we'll try to get something back in the mid lane. There are 2 people defending, however, Haru and Scout.
This is where the worry comes through. I don't know if WE can actually fully commit to trying to take this tower down. Wow, he came up real close.
Yeah, this is going to be a very sad charge. Unfortunate. But WE are going to try and convert this now into the Dragon. 957 is getting pushed in the top lane by Ray.
A really good job from Ray, allowing him to just kind of create that pressure here. I mean, WE using the Rift Herald rather than to take the mid lane turret, but to get the push so they can take Dragon. Smart from them. But at some point, they're going to have to address the massive dinosaur in the top lane.
This is definitely problematic, but it's going to stem the bleeding from 957. He's going to use the ultimate here. He's going to even assist Haru on the way out, so he'll probably go back to base now, unless we might actually just stay, to be honest. He's picked up the Black Cleaver, doesn't have another buy for a little while. Recalling on a ward.
I wonder if 957 tries to cut him out on his back.
Yeah, it's definitely not sure on that one, because at this point it would be pretty nice to farm out this mini wave. But Ray's actually going to move into the jungle here, trying to clear out some of these wards. He knows there's a control ward in this bush. Has been warded out, and Ben's going to do the same. So pretty much vision wards around the top side of the map. EDG trying to push in, but they're not gaining a lot of ground, and this game in terms of gold is bang on even. They've got that 1 tower, but that's been evened up because of the kills.
Yeah, and so even though, yeah, you're right, early kills from WE, just for the scaling aspect of it, But EDG still need to worry about that window that's really starting to close. The fact that, yeah, they're having a lot of these pushing waves, but they need to actually get one of these fights in their favor. Maybe bring iBoy and Mako along the ride towards mid lane. It can start with Malzahar ulti, and it could end with iBoy sending his own ulti out there as well to maybe pick the kill onto CA, or perhaps Condi as well. But they need to start it now because teamfight looking really good from WE later on in the game.
I feel like that was the special ingredient that was kind of lacking in the previous games, that EDG were able to win out in those team fights. And WE, they were doing great in terms of defending their towers, being at the right place at the right time, but now they're able to do that one as well. Condi needs to get out alive, but Ben covering ultimate. Gonna try and pick him off as well, but he flashes away. So Summoner's burnt out here by WE.
And there were necessary summoners to blow. Ben has to get out of there. Condi didn't have to use too much because of his flag and drag, but Ben needed to flash, or at least that he would have been a casualty.
Condi comes in with flag and drag, lands onto 2, looking towards Scout. Can he lock anyone down? Mako completely by his lonesome. Jump over the wall. Wow, the Cataclysm actually followed. Coming with the Nether Grasp, he should be able to finish off CA here. He goes into the Sanguine Pool, but gets a bunch of health back. He's still alive.
Yeah, he needs to get out of there with the help of Ben and Condi. He's not going to be able to heal with his own Crimson Rush, so he gets his own team to follow him through.
That's actually insane. The window for Cataclysm to follow someone after a flash is so small, because if, in most situations the Cataclysm goes down on the other side of the wall, it doesn't follow after.
He had 100% certainty that the flash was going to be coming through, so he just followed him. Really smart coming in from Condi. He just chased him through and got the kill.
I mean, at the same time, just very unlucky timing. Like, there's only a few frames. It's not like Maokai Twisted Advance where it will just follow to the end of the earth. Like, that thing will literally just go off in an instant. So, I mean, it worked out well for WE, but yeah, you've got to be feeling pretty bummed if you Mako.
It's interesting, too, because EDG were trying their hardest to be able to create that situation themselves. Burnt Ben's flash off that. Because they didn't find a retreat on their own after that scenario, going back to the mid lane and getting a push for themselves, they were subject to the same issue where Mako was just a primary target. I don't even know if WE were honestly believing that they get the kill. They were just looking for the ulti to get burned by Mako, but they got a lot out of it.
They absolutely did. And WE, they're still scaling. We're 21, 22 minutes into the game. There's only been one dragon so far. That was the Mountain Dragon. This one's going to be a Cloud. But I'm looking towards the Vladimir. I'm looking towards the scaling champions. Like Zaya's approaching second item. Mid lane's on 2.5 items. Top lane's completed the Seraph Gauge now.
Oh, and even in the mid game, at this point in time, I would say WE just looks through their 1-3-1. GP's comfortable pushing out top lane. Not going to turn into a tower kill, but as long as he's forcing someone to answer that wave constantly, which should be Ray, but it seems like this time around Ray's on the bottom side of the map, She will do the same on the opposing side. It's now suddenly wave clear from Mystic. Once he gets Static Shiv, or I guess Rapid Fire Cannon, he'll be doing quite well for himself. But the Feathers are going to be doing a lot in terms of just clearing out the wave. So WE can start taking control just through matchups. Just because EDG have a 1-4 composition and Scout is not ready to go on the side.
And let me ask you this, Raz. At what point in the game will WE just simply outscale EDG? Because they have a bunch of scaling champions who are very big already, but at what point is it like EDG cannot win a 5v5 and now have to find a creative way to win this game?
957 has an Essence Reaver, which he's currently building, or an Infinity Edge, just crit. Any bit of crit. Right now he's building towards like a safe tanky route. Oh no.
Aggressive Featherstorm comes in. iBoy managed to dodge out of the snare though, so pretty important for him. Didn't even burn the flash. He was confident he could just weave his way out of it.
Yeah, very respectful, of course. The fact that EDG are constantly looking for a pick, keeping Mystic honest. And take a look at this, the bottom side of the map. There's so much happening.
Yeah, Ray is still managing to push, so as you said, that crit's going to be very important for 957 down the line. But for now, Ray still has the advantage, so there is still a power point for EDG to leverage across map.
Yeah, and this is all happening in the 1v1 in the solo lane when 957 doesn't have much crit, doesn't have any crit to his name. The moment he gets something, be able to take that matchup. He's already getting so much gold for himself with the Stairix Gauge, of course, now meaning that any all-in, even if he joins a team fight, will live much longer. Once his barrels start packing a punch, don't see much of an opening for EDG as they go into the team fight.
Even got the QSS picked up by Ty. I think that's the first one that's been picked up on the team.
Oh,
the
yeah.
The first QSS was picked up by Ben, not a carry.
I thought it was going to be CA, but CA was just really confident in the fact that it won't happen to him or he'll survive off of it.
The fact that we just haven't seen a lot from Scout this game. Like, Malzahar was very much meant to be the pick that was opening up these skirmishes, opening up these pick potential, but just haven't really seen him.
Yeah. I would say a lot of the times when it comes down to this, if iBoy can get out, that'd be
What
great.
a sidestep.
Wonderful. But a lot of it comes down to the fact that Malzahar ulti is more of a shared responsibility with the team, right? Haro getting killed a little earlier on means that he couldn't. Oh, he's running.
I mean, this is it right now, as long as he gets vision onto Shie, but he's sprinting away just on the edge of the Nethergrasp range. We'll find it. Stun follow from Haro as well. Shie goes into stasis and should have Sanguine Pool very shortly. Not going to be soon enough, though. And Hammer Plague just a little too late to save the man's life.
Yeah, 957. Not going to follow through on that TP, but he's going to be sad that he started again with.
Just as we talked about it, it seemed like everybody had forgotten about Malzahar's ultimate, but he managed to find the one pick onto a key member. Baron has been started. Scout's the only one in vision so far. Connie turned in the corner. He's about to see the Baron's health very low. It's going to come down to his spine. It's going to secure by iBoy. Now Scout, he's gone invuln, but we're looking towards Mystic as a 1v1 trade. Meanwhile, the rest of the fight, Spen is getting shredded. Mystic's down, and EDG find the fight. They find the Baron.
Condi and 957 got to get up on out of there. Nice window of opportunity from EDG. It all happened so quickly. It just turned into that one pick. We were talking about that one opportunity Scout had to look for, and it was a shared responsibility between him and Haro. And you know what? They found the pick. They chased them down. Haro even flashed to get the counter-strike on top of him. And now they're just being able to burst so much in terms of WE's kind of objectives.
Pushing it down the mid lane. They need to be respectful, though, because Shie is back up and Condi is there. He doesn't have the Cataclysm, but he's still able to keep them in place before Shie's damage to come through. So EDG, they'll regroup, they'll come back in, but it was all based off of this pick.
Take a look at this. Haro finds a ward too. He places the ward to be able to hop over the wall, flashes to be able to follow up on the Malzahar ulti. And so the TP comes through, and that's where I really start questioning that one. Because don't TP knowing that that kill will go down. Might want to TP on the aftermath off that though. So GP's not going to be able to follow. He's booking it. But that Baron's going to be down by the time he gets there. Of course, Ren's going to be able to secure it too, so it's a bit of a Hail Mary for WE to think that they can take it, and they lose members just because they're trying to contest without GP, and of course thinking that they can take Baron.
Yeah, disaster of a core in the end. It just felt like WE just needs a couple more minutes. As you said, once the crit is completed, once one more item completes in mid lane, that's where WE really turn online, and then you look towards those 5v5s. In a different world, maybe that 4v5 goes differently because they've managed to get that extra item, but it was literally the window was shutting. It was almost shut, but Scout found that opportunity to get that pick, to find the play, get the Baron, and now accelerate the game once more from EDG.
Now they have to kind of find a way to push EDG back. I mean, maybe they found that opportunity in game one. I think it's going to be a little bit harder here now that, again, Scout has found himself Malzahar ulti available to himself, so these team fights going to be a little bit easier.
EDG managed to get caught out in the jungle. That's going to be a big Cataclysm coming down. Scout's already removed from the fight. Couple quick seconds of the invulnerability. Bahara has to jump away. iBoy trapped in the red pit.
Oh!
Massive ultimate out from Ray. He may have just salvaged this team fight. Kind of back coming in from Mystic, but he has to stasis up. He's down. Triple kill for Ray. And 100%, they've just saved the game right there. Ray jumps in, finds his fourth kill. Oh, it's going to be sniped away by iBoy.
What an unbelievable Meganar ulti. What the hell was that? Ray swept 4 people in there, and iBoy remained alive, still had stopwatch at the end of that to just keep alive the moment Shie comes into the fight.
They're going to keep on pushing here, Raz. They have the Baron's up minion wave. 20 seconds, 10 seconds on a lot of these carries with 3 members still available. Ray may have just put the final nail in the coffin with that Nara ultimate. Ben comes
TP.
up. He's trying to block all the damage he can. Be a pest to iBoy. But the last Nexus turret's down. Mako's low. They're onto the Nexus.
They
but
can't
members are
defend this.
respawning. Ray, he's going to turn around, but he's onto the Nexus. Someone get him off that. Mystic comes up, but it's finished off. Ray's done it. EDG find a 2-1 victory over WE.
And it all ends so quickly. They found Shie on the top side of the map. They killed him. They went for Baron. They went towards mid lane. And it felt really weird because WE thought they had such a sick fight. It looked good. It was a little interesting, but like the fact that iBoy was able to remain alive for so long in the red buff pit, just kiting back, and then waits for Ray. Hats off to him. Hats off to Mako. He's able to get the ulti off too, so they can stay alive for that much longer.
Honestly, looking at the face of EDG, it didn't look like they realized the game had ended, because I didn't expect it to end right there. I thought it was going to be a siege, going to have to look for an opportunity to open up the game once again after that Baron, and the fact that WE, it looked like they just managed to catch them out in the midst of their jungle, but it was all on Ray's play with that ultimate. That Nara ultimate literally ended the game and ended the entire series. Hats off to him, hats off to the team of EDG, because in the end, Anastas was correct. EDG picked up the game, but for a long moment in that game, after a couple of team fights, it looked like WE were able to stall, and I was having flashbacks of game 1.
Now here's the thing, man. It's a bit of a weird feeling for EDG, isn't it? The fact that it seems like we were talking about, I guess the series started about talking about their top lane options, the fact that they can carry. And yeah, we saw a lot of the same old WE, but this is a new EDG. The fact that their top lane can carry. Ray, what an incredible team fight ulti that he had. He was able to pressure out so much in the slow moments of the games too. And I'm talking about when GP came back into the top lane with a 2-0-2 stat line, but he was still losing out because Ray was still outputting that pressure, knowing that Haru was still going to be behind him, and knowing that the rest of EDG were confident that they could still push out these 2 lanes.
And it feels like no matter what you give Ray, he's going to be useful. You give him an Ornn, he's probably going to win lane somehow. You give him Cho'Gath, he's probably going to kill lane with Feast somehow. If you give him Gnar, he's going to win the entire game with a Gnar ultimate. Like, Gnar manages to do so much with tank picks and like limited resources and still wins his laning phase by himself. It's just fantastic to see the fact that EDG have new dynamics on this team now.
Yep. And honestly, as a send-off to them, going into cross-conference, now 5-1, they're looking damn good. I like to see this from them now going into cross-conference. We got to see a little bit more of how they can do, what kind of consistency do they have? Do they kind of play a little bit more risky, I would say, with Ray's kind of champion pool? Maybe you can expand out to more carries. Well, maybe I want to see a little bit more GP. That would be nice to see from him. And then WE, man, they're now 3-3, which is, it hurts. I mean, it was a tough matchup going up against EDG, but they've been having a tough time in their own group.
I will say that the difference between this matchup here with EDG and WE, it really taught me the differences between these two teams. Like, you looked at WE and how, honestly, two-dimensional they looked, because EDG is throwing out so many different strategies. Look at how dynamic top lane is and how dynamic jungle is and how they're adapting to the team. WE just looked like the same old WE, and in the end, it did come back to bite them. That's going to do it from us, though. We are going to send it over to the analyst desk to take a look at the game and close out the day.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Edward Gaming victorious, 2-1 in their victory over Team WE. Another chapter in the story of the Betrayers added. The saga at this point. It's no longer just a book. This is a tome of fights and wars and battles won and lost. But this time, it is EDG who are victorious. And the fans, you can see, are very, very happy with that. They were absolutely rip-roaring when that game ended.
And while we are happy for EDG, and we will get to celebrating them in a moment, heart to heart, Kiglefs are coming off. Team WE, what the hell is happening in draft phase? Like, every single time we come back, stop drafting 3 losing lanes. The fact that you can draft 3 losing lanes is impressive in its own right. Like, you have to try to do that. And that's exactly what it looked like they did.
If you look at this lane, they're thinking to themselves, what goes good against Kalista? Oh, no, I'll pick Xayah.
Yeah.
And they look at Gnar and they're like, I got it. GP.
So, yeah, we were
like,
joking about it while we were going through the ban phase. They see the Kallistish come up, and then I'm like, all right, Mystic is going to pick Xayah. I'm the play-by-play. I'm the host. I'm not supposed to be the actual concrete evidence.
We were
so, like,
screaming,
no, there's Caitlyn, there's Varus, there's so many other champions he could play. And then he actually picks Xayah. Look, you might be the best in the world on Xayah. You might be one of the best AD carries in all of China, but you still pick yourself into a losing matchup and then proceed to lose the matchup.
And I understand that he's probably the greatest Xayah to ever play the champion, but Iboy is probably the best Kalista player to ever play Kalista. That guy is so good at the champion, and just constantly Team WE were basically, tying one hand behind their back and then trying to fight out from it. And they almost did it, which, again, testament to Team WE and their 5v5, but EDG are just too good. They were solid. They talked about the dynamics on the cast, dynamic in the top lane, carry and tank, dynamic from the bottom lane. They can play a fast push strategy. They can play the kill strategy. Like, there's no way to beat them at this point.
Yeah, there was a great fight at the very end that EDG were able to demonstrate that they still have got the poise. They can try to match. And while WE are trying to fight back with their hands, one hand tied behind their back.
That was both hands at this point. They're actually just trying to bite.
EDG, they showed us that they've actually got an extra arm. Ray coming out with a slam that I think caught all of us by surprise.
and WE actually get the drop right here, and they take one person out from EDG at the start of the fight. But Ray comes in with almost full rage. He's there chucking at them, just waiting for his perfect moment. I was like, what are you doing jumping to the right side? Then he flashes and gets the 5-man.
And it has been so long since EDG have had a dominant top laner. That is reminiscent. You just cover up that nameplate, that's Koro 2015 at MSI.
And the weird thing is that he's actually doing this with carry builds on tank junglers, building Blade of the Ruined King both times, which is kind of a weird thing on Gnar. We don't see that much at all.
I mean, it does mean that he'll be able to split push.
Yeah, it's now wholly unsurprising. The man of the match goes to Ray himself. You saw even at the very end as he stood up and walked past, looked over to Mako and just gave a single nod. Said, I did good, coach. I did good.
Mako ain't the coach. What are you talking about?
Well, Captain Shot Caller. Call it what you will. Call it what you will.
And that's the thing. Ray has been with the team. This is him returning to EDG. He was brought up in their development program, so it's no surprise that Ray would integrate a little bit faster than Haro. But likewise, when Ray is having a good game, iBoy is having a phenomenal game, even Scout stepping up. Haro, how easy is his job as a jungler when every lane just naturally wins? But he did do a great performance on the Jax early on, actually ganking that mid lane and showing Condi how it goes.
It is important to point out that Jax is picked specifically just to counter the mid lane. There's a lot of picks mid that you can't really pressure, but Jax with his leap strike into the stun can do that very well. And he's up to 7 champions currently, so no longer the jungler.
Almost that
coin.
D8.
Slowly expanding more and more up in champions. We've actually got an interview lined up for you. Once again, special guest Clement is going to be having a chat with Scout from the mid lane.
Did he just call me Clement? Anyways, hey guys, I'm Vincent, your Chinese caster, and I'm joined here with Scout from EDG. First, I would ask Scout to say hi to everybody. Scout.
大家好，我是 EDG 的中单 Scout。
Alright, he just say hi in Chinese, but anyways, and you can tell, don't worry about it, although Scout is indeed Korean, but his Chinese is perfect. Alright, my first question, congratulations on your 5th victory in the split. Could you rate yourself, your performance in this set, and also please rate Ray's performance? 这是你们的第5场胜利，然后非常恭喜你。这边要请你给自己在这一个 BO3 的表现打一个分数，同时也帮我们替瑞打一个分数。
瑞，虽然我们赢了5把，但是我们还是赢得不太稳定吧，还是要继续努力很多。然后给自己打分的话，就
没关系，不用客气。
不要那么好吧，就一般般。然后瑞打的话，瑞选手打的话就很不错吧，现在。
好的，谢谢。Well, it's actually, yes, it's our 5th victory, but our victory is a little bit shaky, so I wouldn't rate myself too good. I would say, average performance, but player Ray is actually very good. All right, my second question. So in game 1, EDG was ahead with like 10k gold lead, and also Baron and Elder Dragon buff. So, but that game, in the end, EDG didn't win that game. So I would like to ask what actually happened back there and what cost you the game. So 第1场比赛的时候，其实 EDG 已经一度达到10000的经济领先，而且还有双龙的 buff， 但是最终没有能够赢下这场比赛。我希望跟 Scout 聊一聊，说当时发生了什么事情，使得 EDG 没有能够赢下那场比赛。
就好像是我们就失误了很多次吧，所以拖到后期了，所以他们的中龙后期的话会很多，所以可能输了吧。
It's pretty much, we were ahead by far, but like we didn't do very good, and we made a lot of mistakes. And their comp is really good in late game. I think that's what cost us the game. All right, my third question would be that we noticed that you are actually the only player that took Gather in Stone Ruin in game 2, which is quite special because you were playing Zoe. So what's the thought behind this choice? 我们注意到你在第2局比赛的时候是唯一一个选择带了风暴聚集的选手，而且实际上因为你玩的是左一这个英雄，那一般来说的话，这个选择还是比较特别的，能够跟我们说说为什么会有这个选择吗？
我本来玩左一的话不点风暴聚集的，但是他们好像第1把打完之后，觉得就他们会 就一直撑住，一直拖到后期，所以我选了这个天赋。
了解。好的，谢谢。So actually, yeah, that's a very not very normal choice of Ruin, but because of game one, I just said, WE is pretty good and they could stall the game until late game. Their ability on this is pretty well, so that's why I picked Geta and Stone, just to get more late game power. Alrighty. My last question is about the Red Herald. Just because in game 2 there was this, you made it, but you guys EDG didn't pick it up. None of, it was Haro and you, right? It was Haro and Scout, and none of them pick up the eye. So I was asking about what happened back there. 所以第2局比赛的时候，其实发生了峡谷先锋那个没有人捡先锋之眼的事情。那我们想知道说，当时发生了什么事？就是单纯的一个失误，然后你们都没有人发现吗？
就他哈罗选手自己忘掉了这个峡谷先锋，然后后面快消失的时候就发现了，然后来不及了。
来不及了。So it's actually Haro's mistake, but we found this later, but it was too late. So I was close by, but I wasn't able to pick it up. All right, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for joining us here. And we are going back to analyst desk with Clement and Froskerin, not Dom.
Oh, that dig back on you,
Vincent,
not Dom.
I'm so sorry, Vincent. Look, we'll talk about this when the broadcast is done. We're gonna have a serious conversation, okay? Alrighty, but you just heard from that was Scout and Vincent there. We double checked the names just to be sure. So sorry about that. But hey, let's get into this matchup a little bit more because again, Scout saying that it was Haro's call to pick up the Rift Herald.
He's putting the blame on him, and he's like, Haro, didn't you find it weird that it took you 8 seconds to back?
Yeah, a little bit odd there in that scenario.
Scout, don't you find it weird that you were near the Rift Herald Eye for 8 seconds?
And again, just for that clarity, in game number 2, the Rift Herald was taken by EDG, but the buff was ignored by the team.
I'm actually just going to make it a blanket rule for EDG. Just don't go near Herald. I mean, we forget to pick it up in game number 2, and then game number 3, it's just a massive zone of death.
Yes. bit of a scary situation for them, but EDG not quite able to secure that, though. At the end of the day, as we heard at the end of the desk, EDG will close out their first round of intra-conference play at 5-1. WE just behind them at 3-3. Let's actually take a look at the standings and see how everyone is shaking out at the end of week 3.
This does put EDG in second place because they have lost the head-to-head against Snake, but I don't think anyone had imagined Snake would be at the top spot in the start of the season right now.
Yeah, and then surprisingly looking over at Invictus Gaming, they're still reigning supreme, but they aren't as clean as they should have been after struggling against LGD for the first game later on today.
We did hear from Jackie Love saying that it felt like LGD gave them a wake-up call today to finally play better.
Well, Invictus Gaming, perhaps we'll get the opportunity to see that. Still 5-1, still very impressive scoreline overall. But
impressive scoreline, but not quite impressive play.
Yeah, there is a big difference between the two. Just because you get the W at the end doesn't always mean that it's a clean and efficient affair. Still, though, the LPL, we might be done for the evening, but we're nowhere near close to done. Again, cross-conference starts tomorrow at 5 p.m. China Standard Time. I believe that comes out to 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yep.
And that match is going to open up with RNG versus BLG. So we get the chance to see if the Dynasty will start to recover.
And we finally also get the chance to see who is actually stronger, the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference.
I can answer that question for you.
Okay, all right.
I'm
Let's get into
pretty
it.
sure it's the West.
Oh, let's see. Looking at EDG, WE, OMG on the far side. And
I mean,
also Snake.
The
Yeah,
easy
Snake
way
up
to
there as
remember it is just the heavy hitters are in the Western Conference and the underdogs or the hidden gems are in the Eastern Conference.
The yet to be uncovered talent. And of course, in the match just after that, WE, they're pulling a doubleheader just like the broadcast. They're playing tomorrow against Rogue Warriors.
Ooh, that's actually a really intense match. Rogue Warriors, just like
Good
WE
carry
and
matchup.
EDG, are sitting right at the top of their standing, so it is technically a top-of-the-table clash between WE and Rogue Warriors.
3-3 for Team WE. Rogue Warriors at 4-2. What a world when you could say Doinby & Co. are higher in the standings than Team WE.
Both of these teams have looked a bit shaky over the course of their games.
Inconsistent, I would say.
Yeah, definitely true. Rogue Warriors, they've been finding those critical team fights where they can come back in, but like laning phase for them have been a bit weird.
Tom froze. Everything's flashing before his eyes.
What happened?
The critical team fights, the critical thinking to get to those team fights as well. Frost.
What I was going to say is that I don't want to take too much away from Team WE going in at 3-3. I still think that they're a top-tier team, simply because some of their early game blunders or their early season blunders were because they were starting Melon versus Condi. This is actually their first loss with Condi, and it was against a very impressive form of EDG today. So I'm not ready to look at Team WE and be like 3-3. They're donezo. They're gone. Washed up.
I mean, it's also important to note that we've got the Chinese Lunar New Year coming up in just a few days, and tomorrow we'll be having a very special ceremony to get everyone all hyped and excited for it. I've heard so much about it. I haven't seen them myself. Is it really? Are we talking 10 out of 10
They're
or like 9 out of 10?
Pretty lit.
All right. They better have like LEDs and be on fire like Hunger Games
I
style.
feel like that's a lot of the Chinese design aesthetic. It's like make
On
it huge.
fire?
No. Make it huge. Cover it with LEDs. Now make them blink.
Exactly.
They're actually going to blink.
No, they don't actually blink. They're
Okay,
fabulous.
Okay. Well, you're going to see those
I
outfits
didn't want to go that far.
tomorrow. Yeah, again, it's going to be some very exciting matches coming at you tomorrow. But again, that does it for us. This is Team EDG taking the win for us at the end of the day. But on behalf of myself, my analyst, I should hope I am allowed to say this on behalf of my analyst, my co-casters, and the whole production crew, and especially to my special guest, Vincent. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more LPL action.